We had the opportunity today to work on the Code.org platform. And Code.org is a nonprofit organization whose purpose is to provide an open source platform for students to have access to learn about computer science concepts. And we're having this conversation because what we hope is that we can introduce students to what computer science is, what technology is, what are the basic components that are around being able to program at a young age. So today, Jamil, we were able to talk about a couple of concepts, including debugging, an algorithm, a program, and a loop.
Today I have a special guest, and I met her actually at the program that Sharon, one of our co-hosts, was hosting at CPCC, the Harris campus. And I have a few questions to ask her. First and foremost, what's your name?
My name is Jamil Whitlow. I am in the 11th grade.
Great, and at what school?
I go to Maracas Middle College High School.
All right. So I noticed that you attended Code.org. Was there any reason that you did that?
I joined, well, actually, it's really, I knew Dr. Sharon beforehand, before the program. She basically told me about it beforehand and sent an email to me, and I decided to come on a Saturday from 9 to 12, and it was good. Like, I learned other things about coding that I didn't know, or how I can implement it into other things besides just coding by itself.
Wonderful. So is that something that you think other young people would be interested in?
I think other people can be interested in it. I think it's the way that you present it towards certain people. Like some people, like you may present coding in a way that might not be as interesting to another person, but if you, I guess, present it in a certain way, then they'll actually like coding.
And from your voice, I think it was presented in a way that piqued your interest, and you think it would be something that possibly you would like to pursue later on?
Yes, because it's I guess you could say it's captivating than something like someone teaching and it's like boring and straight through. This is how you do something. But no, it's like interactive. So
cool.
So we had the opportunity today to work on the Code.org platform. And Code.org is a nonprofit organization whose purpose is to provide an open source platform for students to have access to learn about computer science concepts. And we're having this conversation because what we hope is that we can introduce students to what computer science is, what technology is, what are the basic components that are around being able to program at a young age. So today, Jamil, we were able to talk about a couple of concepts, including debugging, an algorithm, a program, and a loop. Based on the activities that we did, we do some activities called unplugged activities, which is what she was mentioning as interactive. What was something that we did that really sticks out in your mind that taught you the concept better? Maybe something like debugging or an algorithm. What was something we did today that helped you understand that concept better?
I think one of the concepts that helped me was looping, because at first I was unsure. I was thinking, where is she going to put looping? Like, how is this related? We had like a cups activity where we had to tell someone how to put the cups in a certain order. And it was just interesting to see that you had to be really specific and detailed about what you were doing with the cups. And then she brought it all back, saying that this is looping and how you can have certain things repeated if you have to do something more than once. So if you have to move a cup 3 times, you don't have to put 3 arrows for something. You just have to put like a symbol.
Exactly, which makes our code more efficient.
Absolutely.
So, and we can think about this in our everyday lives. Is there something that we do on a regular basis that we repeat over and over again?
I'm trying to think something. I know there is.
How about waking up?
Yeah.
There's a routine that you have.
There's a routine for it.
Brushing your teeth.
Mm-hmm. Then probably shower and then get ready for school, put books in bags.
Yeah, because it's different for each person. So
an example that I think comes to mind is when we go to the grocery store. So and I'm a list writer. I mean, I love a good list, right? So when I write out my list to go to the grocery store, I may say that I want to get some fruit, right? But do I write apple, apple, apple? No, because that would make, so what would I write instead?
You just put 3 apples.
3 apples, or I may say apples times 3, which is a loop because I literally am going to go to the apple section and I'm going to pick up an apple 3 times, right? That's a looping action. But when I'm writing the list, instead of writing apple, 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 I just write apples times 3. I know that means 3 apples. Multiplication is a loop because you don't sit down and write 1 plus 1 plus 1. Maybe you do. Do you?
No, I don't.
Not anymore, right? My 6-year-old might, but what do you think, Paula? Is there something that you can think of that you do every day that's...
It's routine, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. Every day when I wake up, I always have a list. Similar to Sharon, I have a list. And I always have to make sure I look through that list for me to even figure out what I'm doing for the day. So my list is actually my calendar. I go back and look at my calendar and like, right, I know exactly now what I need to get done, and then I rearrange them. But that's something I do every single day, because if I don't, I'll be lost.
Oh, I know. I still like to write things down, too.
So you do that for the start of every day?
Every day. I have a calendar and I write out what I want to do the night before, but I forget by the time I wake up in the morning. So I got to go look at it again.
So this also brings up another concept that we learned today called debugging. And one of the things Paula was just mentioning is she looks at her list every day, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And debugging is going back and looking to see, were there errors? Are there things that maybe we didn't do them yesterday, or finding problems? For us, we have to sit through and debug. All right, gosh, did I complete that list, that item on that list, or did I not? And you go back and you check for errors, or you check to see if you've actually completed the action. And that's debugging. Any other examples you guys can think of?
For debugging, correct. The example, I remember that we did the Move It challenge, and how if you didn't follow the path that you were, basically you had to have, there was a starting point and there was someone that had a path for the person to actually walk on, and you had to tell them what to do, like north, south, east, or west, and if you had to basically pay attention to what you were doing, and that if you stepped off the path, then you had to figure out, okay, what did I do wrong? Where was I supposed to go, to the left or to the right, or east or west? So that was an example.
Was that the program, the exercise that we did with pieces of paper on the floor?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was just so fantastic, because I just kept seeing like young people now being able to see what algorithms are. That, you set up a path, you set up well, not a routine, but using the pieces of paper, we kind of mapped out where we wanted to start and where we wanted to end. And then everybody put down the paper in a specific sequence. It's something that you would have had to have seen, because the person given the instructions was the one who put down the paper, and then there was someone who had to follow those instructions based on the person given the instructions. It was amazing to see that is how computers work.
It is. It's steps. You have to put down steps. And the more detailed your steps are for your program, the better or more efficient your program will flow. And if, just like Jamil said, if you happen to make a mistake, you debug it to figure out where you went wrong, and it's okay. We were practicing today even with the looping activity, and I actually had to re-go and redo it at least 3 different times because I kept missing picking up the treasure. And that happens on a regular basis, and that's part of learning to be a programmer. But, we are natural computers as humans, and we do these things without thinking on a regular basis. We're always problem solving and processing through the steps that we take to do things every day. So it's just really taking something that we do really intuitively and putting it on the computer. And I think that was something that we were able to chat about today. I was thinking about this too when we were thinking about Move It, but for a high school student, on that first day of school,
where you have to find your classes,
yeah.
Especially in a big school. I haven't had that experience. I've seen other schools, like Philip O'Berry is pretty big, or just trying to find, some of your classes might be far away, or you have to come the day before, to make sure that you know where your classes are going to be.
Exactly. So that's creating an algorithm, because you're creating the steps of where you're going to go from first period to second, and then debugging it, because when you come back the next day, there may be 100 kids standing in the path where you were going to go, And you're like, oh man, I'm gonna have to go around this other way and choose a different route to get to the same class.
I love that example. That I can apply to my life. I'm directionally challenged, so I'm debugging every single day. Even to come here today was a challenge. Sharon sent me the address. I put it in my GPS, and I still got lost.
With the GPS?
It told me where to go, but when I got here, I was like, okay,
User error.
that's me.
That's okay.
So,
Well, Jamil, I want to ask you a question before we wrap this up, and that really is, do you believe that introducing these ideas to students at a younger age would help demystify what it means to be in computer science, IT, and do you think they could see how they could apply it to other disciplines? That doesn't have to be like computer science time, that you actually math and computer science go together, or science and social studies and literature and writing. And
I think if you do expose that aspect to them at a young age, I think it's easier to see how you can apply it to like other parts of your life. Like you said, you implement algorithms to your children, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And how at an early age you tell them, hey, this is another way of an algorithm or steps or processes and how to solve a problem. And then they can apply it to when they get older with math problems, science problems, to anything really. Because there's a certain way to do things. Even in math, they say there's multiple ways of doing something. And even in science, I struggle with science sometimes, but there's a certain, I guess you could say, like rules or a set of guidelines that you have to follow through. So it's just simple stuff like that.
Yeah, you mentioned I do algorithms with my children, and we do that. We bake a lot, so we use a recipe. And sugar cookies tends to be our favorite cookie to bake. That's what they like. So we do the algorithm. We walk through the steps, or the recipe is the algorithm. A cup of butter, or half a cup of sugar, or whatever it is. And as we walk through it, we talk it out, and then the actual execution of that algorithm becomes the program. As we begin to put all the ingredients together to make the cookie dough, becomes the program. And then they get very excited, because then, of course, we watch the chemistry happen of putting the cookies in the oven, and they transform into a different type of solid. So that's really cool, too.
I think that's amazing, because now you've broken it down. Broken it down to us who are older, but to your sons, that is just a regular part of life now. Anytime that they see you in the kitchen, or they want to do something fun, then they relate it to computer science. Now the word algorithm, it doesn't seem so overwhelming, but they can see it how it's being used in real life. And come back to your question, I feel also that when it's introduced at an early age, it makes it so much easier to build on those foundations, because those are fundamental parts of computer science, so that when they are presented with it in high school, it's not overwhelming. It's been part and parcel of their lives. And I wish that was something that I had exposure to. Well, of course, my generation, pre all of laptops and smartphones. But
well, I agree with you, and sometimes I worry about that. But I think I worry, but I don't worry, because for us, technology has increased so quickly over the past 8 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, it has gone, exponentially.
Yes.
And that opens a different window. And even for Jamil's generation, she has grown up as a native, but even as a native, there's things that she probably was not introduced to at a young age, because even at that time, it was still fairly new. The iPhone was coming out, the iPad was coming out, and understanding the back end of that was still not really clear. We were able to consume it, but being able to actually understand and create is where we're leaning now, which is why it's so important, I think, opening up the avenues with code.org or other online free programs, Scratch or Codables, or doing anything that Google, which is they have a computer science first program, and they're all free, and students can go on and learn. Yeah, they can learn. So Jamil and I are on a path, and she's going to be helping me open doors for young people to learn more about computer science, and we're working together on a Girl Scout troop project.
Our Girl Scout Gold Award, it's equivalent to an Eagle Scout Award in Boy Scouts. And the general aspect, like the goal is to have something that impacts the community in some way. So Dr. Sharon and I, we've worked on SAS and a data analysis tool that is used. We used it to track our Girl Scout sales and how it impacts other troops. So for an example, there were troops that were in the city more so, and they sold more cookies than the people that were on the outside of the city or more away from the city. And we presented the data to SAS Analytics Conference. It went pretty well, and I used Google Hangouts so they can see me, and she was actually there. But it was pretty good.
Yeah, so that was our first iteration. So tell them a little more about what we're doing now with your troop.
So now what we're doing is Dr. Sharon and we're trying to get our troop to sell more cookies as well and track our data, and hopefully we'll sell more cookies than we did the year before, and that would result in more cookies, like more, I guess you would say more, we only get 65 cents per box depending on how many cookies we sell, so it would produce more, I guess, of a profit.
An opportunity because they use the money to be able to go and be exposed to other opportunities. And what our goal is to show them how data can really open up their view of what they're selling. Like they may think they could really sell more cookies if they know who they're selling to, who's buying what cookies, how many cookies they're selling, and using different marketing techniques after they understand the data that they're being introduced to.
That's impressive. And as you mentioned, bringing it back into real life situations where they can see the connection. And it's real. I mean, they touch it, they see it. This is something that some of them have seen, probably their older brothers or sisters do. But now we're bringing in technology, making it real.
And we're hoping to get Girl Scouts. Well, they've now introduced digital cookie where you can buy online. Beforehand, it was pencil and paper, which we're still using.
Yeah.
And right now the girls are collecting data. So as they're selling cookies, they're inputting that into spreadsheets so that we can collect all of that information and be able to figure out how many cookies they sold and then create a new goal for even next year.
Fantastic. So we're looking forward to seeing the result. You're not yet done with it.
No.
Okay, so it'd be great to see after you've compiled the data, what the results are, and even more so to see how you can use it to plan for next year, make next year even more profitable and even more, I don't want to say interactive, but seeing how we can now get more girls.
I guess
boys.
engaging?
That's the word.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we want to remember that, of course, we want to inspire young women, and that's our goal with the podcast and with being able to, Jamil and I's work and her work with the Gold Awards, to show them that it's not so scary. It's not as scary as she's really walked in not really knowing anything when I first met her, and now, I mean, she can sit and lead a class about algorithms or variables or looping. I'd be very confident to let her lead that. So I think that's pretty amazing.
That is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Wow. So this has been great. It was wonderful meeting you, Jamil.
Thank you, Jamil. It's
Jamil, and learning all about you and how you got into this program, how you met Dr. Sharon Jones, and now how you are so confident with your knowledge that you feel that you could lead a class. What is one word you'd say, I mean, after having sat in this class and, of course, the last few months having learned what you have from Dr. Sharon Jones?
I would say adjective I would pick is probably, I guess, intriguing. I would say intriguing because it's something that, like, I had forgot the class before. I think I had forgot about algorithms, but to relearn it again, I'm pretty sure it'll stick to me this time. Just because the activities that are instilled with learning, like, different aspects of computer science. So.
Quick lightning round question. What is your favorite social media platform?
Snapchat.
Knew she was going to say that.
I could have guessed that,
I know.
too.
Okay. Is there any book that you're reading right now that you are enjoying?
Let me see. The book I'm enjoying, Life of Pi.
Life
Life
of
of
Pi.
Pi.
Oh, Life of Pi. The pies that we eat.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty cool.
Yes, and
I
how
would like that.
everything's
I would have
Wow.
never
related.
expected that.
All right. Favorite movie you've just seen?
I would have to say the Jumanji movie.
Ooh,
It was
was that
pretty good.
Good. Okay.
Nice.
And favorite color?
Red.
Could we have guessed? You have on red today, right?
I do.
And can you give a shout out to your troop and tell people how they could buy cookies from you guys?
Okay, Troop 740, that is our troop, and you can we have like a digital cookie site, but it's for like several Girl Scouts.
But you can actually go online and support their troop and buy cookies, Girl Scout cookies, which are delicious, or donate them.
Yeah.
Nice.
And people that are vegan, so there's a vegan option.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Who knew? They're growing with the times.
Yep.
Thank you, Jamil. It was lovely to have you
Thank
here
you.
today.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.